Good afternoon. This afternoon, we released Ontario's action plan, the next step in our response to COVID-19. An emergency relief package that will support Ontario's families and businesses. This is an unprecedented time, and we are responding with an unprecedented plan. Our province is facing a challenge, the likes of which we have not seen for generations. COVID-19 has emerged as a monumental threat to our health and to our economy. But we will fight this threat with every ounce of our resolve. We will fight for those in the hospital battling this virus. We will fight for the nurses and doctors working around the clock. We will fight for the mothers and fathers already struggling to put food on the table. We will fight for those trying to keep a roof over their heads. I promise you, we will fight and we will not stop fighting. The next round of that fight starts right here and right now, with $17 billion in new emergency relief and support. That's $17 billion. Support for our frontline healthcare workers, relief for families, relief for business, and relief for workers. $17 billion in relief and support for all of you across this great province. Because it's all of you, it's all of Ontario that inspires me to take on COVID-19 round after round. The paramedics, the nurses, the doctors, personal support workers, and all of the healthcare workers, the firefighters, the police, and all the first responders. You have our backs, and we have yours. The heroes in uniforms, you inspire me. The grocery store clerks, the truck drivers, the construction workers, the cleaners, the transit workers, and everyone working through these tough times. You too are heroes. You inspire me. It's the actions of the many that shine brightest in these dark times. The Ontario spirit is shining, a guiding light. People and businesses are hearing a call to action. They're standing up and offering a helping hand. They're doing all they can to help us make it through these dark times. These countless acts of care and compassion move me. They inspire me, and they give me hope. These acts, this spirit, the Ontario spirit, it gives me hope. It gives me hope Ontario will lead the way in this fight. It gives me hope for the health and well-being of everyone in this great province. And it gives me hope that when we come out of this, when we come out of these tough times, we will emerge stronger than ever before. And when people look back, when they reflect on these dark days, when the history books are written, they won't be writing about me, they'll be writing about you, Ontario. Thank you, and God bless. I now will turn it over to my Finance Minister, Rod Phillips.
Thank you very much, Premier, for your leadership and inspiration. I also want to thank all the members of the legislature, as I did in my speech, particularly the leaders of the opposition parties, and for their cooperation and collaboration in putting together this unprecedented package under these very difficult circumstances. We're very proud of what we brought together because we think that it represents a good first step, a start in terms of this province's reaction to COVID-19. We believe that the $17 billion, $7 billion of direct support and $10 billion of support with cash flow for businesses and individuals will make a big difference in the lives of Ontarians at a very, very difficult time. So I know that that we want to get to questions, and I'm sure there are many of them. So with that, Premier, I'm going to turn it back to the reporters for questions.
We'll go to the phone line. First question.
From Christina Elliott at CP24.
Hi, Premier. Hi, Minister. Thank you so much for your time. My first question to the Premier is not about the fiscal announcement today. It's once again about essential services. And Premier, I know you're aware of the continued calls from construction workers that they not be listed as an essential service. And you did say yesterday that items could be added or removed to the essential service list.
Right.
Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca is also calling for a one-week pause. Will you reconsider?
Well, I'll tell you right now, we have 125 inspectors out there looking into every single project that's happening just here in Ontario. I'm sorry, just here in Toronto. I apologize. Just here in Toronto, we have over 125 inspectors. I've talked to the trade leaders as well, the construction companies, union leaders. And again, I want to make it very, very clear. And I said it yesterday, I said it the day before. If the workplace, the construction site is not safe, you can walk off the job. And I'll have zero tolerance for any construction site that doesn't have the proper essentials to make sure they keep the workers safe and have make sure the outhouses are clean, make sure the sanitizers are there, make sure they have running water. And I know our inspectors have already written up 12 sites so far. But let me be very, very clear. If a construction worker does not feel safe, I say it day after day after day, walk off the site.
Follow up.
Thank you, Premier. This question is for the Premier or Minister Phillips. We've been hearing from small business owners with rent being due on April the 1st. You both had alluded or made the announcement recently that nobody in the province would be evicted who lives in a home or a condo, but small business owners who pay rent. What in the announcement today is for them, or what is your message to them if they cannot pay rent on April the 1st to those who own the properties that they lease? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. There were a number of items in our announcements and in our program, the energy rebate program, the employer health tax, both cut and rebate that will support many, many businesses. But it's going to take all of us putting our heads together and our hands together to get through this task. We've been in conversations. I know the federal finance minister, my counterpart, Bill Morneau, has been in conversations. I know Mayor Tory has been in conversations with landlords, talking to them about needing to make sure that they are looking after the long-term interests of all of their tenants, and particularly the small businesses that are under so much pressure. So there's a number of specific initiatives in this package today that will help support them. I should note as well that Minister Morneau expanded his income support package today very much at the urgings of Premier Ford, who had been pushing for that and lobbying for that. But as we've said, this is a good start. We are going to count on people, landlords among them, to be responsive to making sure that they're supporting our small businesses and our larger businesses at this very difficult time.
Next question.
From Jeff Gray at the Globe and Mail.
Hi there. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the economic projections of GDP basically flatlining. Things have been moving very quickly. How likely is it that we think that'll actually be worse?
Well, I'll pass this over to the finance minister one more time.
Thank you for the question, Jeff. As you know, just less than 2 weeks ago. We were planning to introduce a budget which, like all the other provincial budgets, and I imagine the federal budget being presented, had economic assumptions that were based on the economy 3 weeks ago. One of the reasons that we adjusted our stance and went ahead with this fiscal and economic statement was to have a more current view of that. Now, this projection of zero growth is obviously a very, very prudent projection, but this is a very fast-moving situation. One of the things that I'll point out to you is that we have put in place historic reserves, larger than ever before in the province of Ontario, $2.5 billion. And as we've talked about before, each point of GDP affects the province's revenues by about $700 to $750 million. So in a sense, we've built in a cushion because there is so much uncertainty right now. What we are seeing are record amounts of fiscal and monetary stimulus. It's one of the reasons that the markets have been up over the last short while, but we will have to continue to observe what happens. We thought it was very important, though, that for the people of Ontario, we put out a statement that we be clear, not just about the economic situation we're facing, but also the finances. We have many, many transfer partners that are very important to us, municipalities, hospitals, school boards, that we need to make sure know the funding that they expect every year is coming. That's why we had this financial statement. That's why we've done this tier, a one-year budget, because we want to make sure that they know what they're getting. They're our partners.
There are some saying that there's not enough being done for people who've lost their jobs or lost income. Can you respond to that criticism of the document you presented today?
You know, we have included many, many initiatives, $75 million for 194,000 of our lowest income seniors. Of course, the check, there's almost 2 million students in Ontario, so $200 for every child under 12 to support parents. So we've made some very direct interventions in addition to the monies provided for Ontario Works in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But of course, we're doing this with the support as well and in support of what the federal government is doing. This is something where all level of governments are going to have to work together. But we have $3.7 billion here in support for people and the economy. And beyond our support for healthcare, $3.3 billion, that's our priority right now.
Next question.
From Brian Lilly at the Toronto Sun.
Premier, you keep saying that if people don't feel safe on the work site, they should simply walk off the job.
Right.
I'm wondering what you would say to them if, after doing that, they find out that they're no longer eligible for employment insurance because your government's plan doesn't have anything to support them directly. It relies on the federal plan, and if you simply walk off the job, you may not be eligible for EI. So what do you say to people who are worried about paying the bills, but also worried about showing up on the work site?
Well, Brian, what I understand, the federal government, if you can't work because of coronavirus, there will be a package out there. There is a package right now, and safety is the number one priority. The health and safety of the frontline workers, that's our number one priority. And again, we have 125 inspectors out there. They've written 12 summons right now, just today alone. And we've had conversations with labor leaders. So any union, any labor leader, no matter if it's Leuna or the carpenters or anyone else, if they want their members off the site, then they should be calling them off the site. We listen to the leadership of the labor folks that are on these sites day in and day out. And I want to emphasize one more time, because I've talked to many of them. They want their workers to continue, the workers want to continue, and if there's one labor union that may not want them to work, be it the carpenters or maybe someone else, then I encourage them to tell their workers not to show up. It's as simple as that. I can't stress it anymore. You do not have to come to work. Simple as that.
Even if it means that you don't actually qualify for EI or any other pay. I mean, if your inspectors aren't able to get out there quick enough to document it, they may end up actually just not having anything to fall back on. Is that the wisest?
Well, Brian, let me again, I'll answer it again, that What I understand, they will be able to collect payment from the federal government, and a matter of fact, I'm positive they will, because I asked the question to the federal government, so they will be able to collect.
Next question.
From Sean Jeffers at the Canadian Press.
Question for the Minister of Health. Minister, obviously there's a lot of funding here for healthcare across the board, specifically to hospitals to create beds. How quickly do you anticipate that they will be able to respond, and how quickly will this funding flow?
Well, the funding will be flowing immediately. This is something that is very important, that we create this space in hospitals. And it's coming from a variety of sources from around the province, including creating brand new spaces, opening up unused beds. And of course, in addition to that, hospitals are looking at canceling, postponing elective surgeries. So we're working on many fronts to create this capacity, because we anticipate that there will be increased hospitalizations as COVID-19 continues in Ontario.
Question for the Premier as a follow-up on the economic side. You know, you promised when you were first elected to balance the budget. This obviously will have a major impact on that, posting a deficit next year of $20 billion. I'm wondering if you can walk us through that process and your decision making here, and I guess the difficulties this might present.
Well, we've shown to the people of Ontario we can be fiscal prudent managers of the taxpayers' money. As the minister mentioned, we were able to find savings of billions and billions of dollars just in the last 6 months. And if we weren't fiscal prudent managers, we wouldn't be able to offer up what we're offering today. These are unprecedented times. And I'll tell the people of Ontario, we will do whatever it takes. We will spend whatever it takes to make sure we protect the health and the economy of this province and the people in this province.
Next question.
From Victoria Gibson at iPolitics.
Hi, this question is for Minister Phillips. Your plan today seems to assume that the province will be back to a period of growth by late 2020. When you were putting the plan together, how long did you predict the social distancing and business closures will last? There must have been some sort of modeling involved there.
There, of course, was economic modeling, but we are in unprecedented times. Underlying any economic challenge like the one we faced is a matter of confidence, and in this case, the confidence is a function of a healthcare crisis, a global healthcare crisis. So we made assessments, again, looking at a variety of private sector sources in terms of economists, as well as looking at typical or other sorts of scenarios like this. But the truth is, we do our very best to put together projections, but things are changing hour to hour, day to day. What we've done, though, is made sure that the province has the financial firepower in terms of the reserves and in terms of the investments that we need to make, that the province will be able to weather whatever is on the horizon.
Thank you. And in follow-up, similar to Jeff's question, how much do you think the economic outlook here in Ontario has changed even between when the plan was finalized last week and today? Are you more or less optimistic about the economic picture than you were last week?
You know, it's impossible not to be affected. I guess this is less a question about how economists feel, but just how all of us feel as people. It's impossible not to be affected by the incredible number of layoffs that have occurred and the impact on families of that. But I will say, and that has been stark. But I will say as well that we've seen unprecedented levels of both fiscal and monetary stimulus. We've seen even today the federal government intervening with additional investments for individuals, which again, as I said, the Premier and myself have been working with our colleagues federally to see that happen. And we are seeing a response in the markets, for example, to that. So this is something that's going to be very volatile for the period ahead. Obviously, the projections we made are ones that we think will stand up, but we're going to have to adjust them. And I'll just remind the folks that, unlike previous governments, we have made a commitment that on a quarterly basis, I'll be out to make sure we update the financials. So we will, on a very regular basis, be reporting back on this plan, on its progress, on the economics behind it, to make sure that Ontarians can trust what we're saying.
Next question.
From Mike Crawley at CBC News.
Hi, question for the Premier. Just wondering, what's it feel like to have to table a budget that has a $20.5 billion deficit? Did you ever think in your wildest dreams you'd be putting forward a budget with such a big deficit?
No, I think no one in this world in their wildest dreams would be saying, Mike, what we're going through, all of us around the world. And we're going to do whatever it takes to protect the people of Ontario. And, within the fiscal restraint, the fiscal capacity that we have. Because I'm confident the manufacturing might and the ingenuity of this province, when we get through this, we're going to come back stronger than ever before. And I want to tell you a story, Mike, today, and talking about manufacturing might, private sector stepping up. We had a meeting with Linamar, Woodbridge, Magna, and Martin Rea. Four leaders, I should say, worldwide leaders that are here, right here in Ontario. And some of the best engineering minds, manufacturing minds, anywhere in the world. We were on the phone today. They're coming up. Woodbridge is coming up with equivalent to the N95 masks. And by the way, through the great leadership of the Minister of Health, we were able to find 5 million N95 masks. They're on order coming into Ontario through Ackland Granger. We had 3 million, another 2 million from 3M. We have millions and millions of surgical gloves. And these three companies, they're putting together a plan and moving forward at a rapid speed. Something that would take 6 months, they're going to be doing in weeks through their expertise, working collaboratively together to build ventilators. We can't rely on the rest of the world when they're in crisis. And the manufacturing might of this province, we're going to produce them for Ontario, we're going to produce them for the rest of Canada and the province when they're up and running in a few weeks. And I was just so impressed with those four companies, along with many other companies, but especially those four companies being able to pull it all together and start building these ventilators again, and not just for Canada. And if we have extra, we'll be shipping them around the world. That's what you call the Ontario spirit.
I'll pass on my follow-up so that other colleagues can get to their questions.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, this will be the last question. Cynthia?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Hello, Premier.
Hi, Cynthia.
A year ago, Ontario's fiscal watchdog warned that if you didn't put $7 billion more into healthcare in the next 3 years, that the system would not be maintained at the status quo. So that's $2.3 billion per year. You're putting $3.3 billion in to fight COVID. So, in theory, $2 billion of that was just to maintain the current system. Is there going to be enough to fight the pandemic and have enough resources in the hospitals with $3.3 additional billion?
Well, we're increasing that spending up to, I think it's 4.3% or 4.5%. The finance minister can correct me. But again, we're pouring billions and billions of dollars into the healthcare system. Before this crisis took place, we increased the budget in healthcare by $1.9 billion. That's more than any government in the history of Ontario. We're increasing it even more, billions of dollars to fight COVID-19, making sure that the needs of the healthcare frontline workers are taken care of. And we take a lot of advice, not only through COVID, through our chief medical officer, but also leaders like Dr. Kevin Smith, UHN, incredible. I could name all the CEOs, but we're all working together collaboratively as a team. And there's so many people that I'm so proud of. I could sit here for the next hour and start naming people. So when you work shoulder to shoulder, work together, it's amazing what we can accomplish in the greatest jurisdiction anywhere in the world, right here in Ontario. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you.